My friends, there are moments in life when everything seems quiet, too quiet, when doors you once walked through are suddenly closed, when the familiar paths feel unfamiliar, and the people you thought would walk with you begin to fade away. My friends, there are moments in life when everything seems quiet, almost too quiet, the kind of silence that makes you wonder if God has forgotten you. You look around, and the things that once made sense suddenly don't. Doors that were always open are now firmly shut. People you thought would always be there begin to drift away. And the plans you were so sure about start to fall apart. It feels like you're losing control, like life is slipping through your fingers. But what if I told you this silence, this confusion, this shaking isn't a sign that you've been abandoned? It's a sign that something holy is happening. When God is about to change your life, He first changes your surroundings. He will disturb your comfort to direct your calling. He will separate you from what cannot travel with you into the next season. Sometimes the delay, the disappointment, the detour, they're not punishments, they're preparations. Every divine transformation begins with divine disruption. God will shake what's temporary so He can build what's eternal. He will take you out of the familiar because the familiar can't contain your future. You may be asking, why is this happening to me? Why do I feel so lost? But you are not lost. You are being led. You're not being abandoned. You're being aligned. When you notice that your plans keep falling apart, it might just mean that heaven's plan is falling into place. God doesn't always announce His moves. Sometimes He hides them in mystery. He allows confusion so that your heart will lean on His clarity. He allows endings so He can write a better beginning. You think it's rejection, but it's redirection. You think it's failure, but it's formation. He's not breaking you to hurt you. He's breaking you to build you. The pain you feel is often the proof that purpose is being born. Sometimes God will close every door just so you'll finally look up. You see, when your strength runs out, that's when His strength takes over. When you can no longer control what's happening, that's when divine control begins. God waits for the moment when you let go of your plan, because only then can He unfold His plan. And His plan is always greater, higher, wiser. You may not understand it now, but one day you'll thank Him for every no, every delay, every detour, because they were all leading you to your destiny. If lately you've noticed a shift, a stirring in your spirit, a restlessness that won't go away, don't ignore it. That's not random, that's not confusion, that's transition. You're standing on the edge of something new, something sacred. The atmosphere around you is changing because heaven is preparing to reveal something powerful through you. The people leaving, the opportunities closing, the sudden discomfort, they're all signs that your old season has expired. You can't stay where you are because where you are is too small for what's coming. God is not punishing you. He's positioning you. The pruning you're experiencing is proof that you're about to bear fruit. The shaking is not your ending, it's your beginning. The wilderness you're walking through is not a place of death. It's a place of transformation. You are being stretched, refined, prepared, strengthened for what's next. You're not being buried, you're being planted, so don't give up now, don't curse the process, don't doubt the silence. God is not finished. The story isn't over. The pain you feel is temporary, but the change it brings will be permanent. The same God who allowed the storm will speak peace in the middle of it. And when He does, you'll see that every loss, every delay, every sleepless night was leading you right here, to the moment where everything changes. If you notice this, if you feel this shift, if your spirit is stirring, get ready, because God is about to change your life. He will disturb your comfort to direct your calling. God never allows us to remain in places that limit our growth. Comfort feels safe, but it can also become a cage. Sometimes, what you think is stability is actually stagnation. So when God begins to stir the waters, it's not because He wants to destroy your peace. It's because He wants to expand your purpose. You may suddenly feel uneasy in a job that once felt perfect. You may lose interest in conversations or habits that once filled your time. This is how God moves, gently but firmly. He removes your dependence on what is temporary, so you can depend on what is eternal. The shaking you feel isn't a punishment, it's a preparation. He's pulling you out of what's familiar because the familiar cannot carry your future. Every great shift begins with discomfort. Think about it. A seed must break before it grows. The ground must open before a harvest can come. Likewise, your spirit must be stretched before your destiny unfolds. God will never let you settle in a place smaller than His purpose for you. He will allow discomfort to wake you up, to push you toward the next chapter of your story. You might not recognize it while you're in the middle of it, but that restlessness in your soul, that inner stirring that won't go away, is heaven whispering, you were made for more. The people who once understood you may start to misunderstand you. Those who used to walk beside you might drift away. Don't fight it. Every divine separation is strategic. God removes what cannot support the weight of where you are going. Not everyone can handle your next level, and that's okay. It's not rejection, it's redirection. Sometimes God will let certain relationships fade because He knows they would hold you back in the season He's leading you into. Trust that if someone or something leaves your life, it's because they've completed their purpose in your story. You might look around and feel like everything is falling apart, but in truth, everything is falling into place. What feels like chaos is often the choreography of heaven. God works in patterns that our human minds cannot always comprehend. The loss you're mourning might be the space He's making for something better. The opportunity that slipped away might have been protection in disguise. He closes doors because He knows which ones would lead to destruction. He delays dreams because He knows when you'll be ready to handle them. When God disturbs your comfort, it's not to break you down, but to lift you higher. He is realigning your path so you can walk into the promise prepared for you. You might cry through the transition. You might doubt His timing. You might even wonder if He's still there. But remember, silence doesn't mean absence. God does His deepest work in the quiet seasons. When nothing seems to be happening on the outside, everything is happening on the inside. He's reshaping your heart, refining your faith, renewing your vision. So don't be afraid of the shaking. Don't resist the shift. Every time God interrupts your comfort, it's because He's calling you into something greater. When the ground beneath you trembles, stand still and trust that His hand is guiding your steps. You are not being moved backward, you are being positioned forward. The more He disturbs your comfort, the closer you are to your calling. What you're feeling right now, the restlessness, the change, the uncertainty, it's not the end of something beautiful. It's the beginning of something divine. God is not trying to take something from you. He's trying to release something through you. And once you understand that, you'll realize the shaking was never to destroy you, it was to awaken you to your purpose. Sometimes the delay, the disappointment, the detour, they're not punishments, they're preparations. You see, God never wastes time. What feels like a delay to you is often divine timing working behind the scenes. We live in a world that teaches us to want everything instantly. Instant success, instant answers, instant change. But the kingdom of God doesn't work like that. God is more interested in shaping your character than satisfying your schedule. He will slow you down not because he wants to deny you, but because he wants to develop you. The waiting room is not a place of neglect, it's a place of nurture. When things don't happen as quickly as you hoped, it's easy to grow frustrated. You start wondering if God has forgotten the promises he made you. You pray, but the heavens feel silent. You work, but there's no visible progress. Yet in that silence, God is working in ways you cannot see. He's aligning the right people, preparing the right opportunities, and most importantly, preparing you to handle what's coming. Because the truth is, if he gave you everything you asked for before you were ready, the blessing could crush you. Preparation protects you from premature promotion. Sometimes the detour is the destination in disguise. You think you've been led off track, but God has simply taken you through a different route, one that avoids dangers you didn't even know were ahead. You might not understand the turns and twists of your journey, but one day you'll look back and realize every delay was perfectly placed. Every closed door saved you from something that could have destroyed you. Every not yet was really God saying, I'm not finished preparing you. Think about how a craftsman works. Before a diamond shines, it must go through cutting, shaping, and refining. The process isn't pretty, but it's necessary. In the same way, God refines you through waiting, through challenges, through tests. The pressure you're under is not meant to break you. It's meant to reveal what's inside you. Your faith is being strengthened, your patience stretched, your trust deepened. Every tear you've cried, every unanswered prayer, every quiet night, they are all part of the preparation for the miracle you've been asking for. The disappointment you're carrying might actually be divine protection. Maybe that relationship ended because God saw the heartbreak it would have caused you later. Maybe that job opportunity fell through because he knew it would pull you away from your purpose. Sometimes God's no is the most loving answer he can give. We see the moment, he sees the whole story. What looks like rejection today will one day make perfect sense when you see the full picture. The delay also teaches dependence. When you have to wait, you learn to trust. You learn that your strength has limits, but his doesn't. You stop striving and start surrendering. You stop chasing and start believing. And in that surrender, something shifts inside you. Your perspective changes, your heart softens, your faith grows. You begin to see that waiting on God is not wasted time. It's invested time. Every moment in the waiting is building spiritual muscle for what's next. So if you find yourself in a season where everything feels slow, where nothing seems to be moving, don't lose hope. God is still writing your story. Just because the page is blank doesn't mean the story is over. He's preparing a chapter so powerful that when it unfolds, you'll understand why you had to wait. You'll realize that the delay was never meant to destroy your faith, it was meant to define it. When the blessing finally arrives, it will not just meet your expectations, it will exceed them. And when that moment comes, you won't just thank God for what he gave you. You'll thank him for what he withheld, for what he delayed, for what he rerouted. Because you'll understand that the delay, the disappointment, and the detour were never punishments. They were proof that God was preparing you for something greater than you ever imagined. Every divine transformation begins with divine disruption. Before God elevates you, he often shakes everything around you. What feels like your life falling apart is actually heaven rearranging your destiny. God never builds on weak foundations, so before he takes you higher, he removes what cannot support the weight of your next level. The shaking is not there to destroy you, it's there to strengthen you. It's his way of saying, I'm not going to let you stay where you are, because I have something greater in store. You might not see it now, but every storm, every change, Every unexpected turn is God preparing you for the promise. When God disrupts your life, it's because He's about to expand it. Think about how seeds grow. Before a seed can sprout, it must first be buried. It must break open beneath the soil in the darkness where no one can see it. That breaking isn't a sign of death, it's the beginning of new life. In the same way, your breaking is the birthplace of your blessing. The seasons that feel like endings are actually beginnings in disguise. God breaks what's old so He can release what's new. He removes what's good so He can give you what's greater. There are times when God will take away what you thought you couldn't live without. It hurts, it confuses you, it makes you question everything. But He does it because He knows you're holding on too tightly to something that limits you. Divine disruption isn't comfortable, but it's necessary. You can't become who you're meant to be if you're still clinging to who you used to be. You can't step into your future if you're still rooted in your past. God's disruption detaches you from the temporary so He can anchor you to the eternal. You see, if life stayed predictable, you would never grow. Comfort keeps you small. Stability, though peaceful, can stunt your purpose. That's why God allows certain storms not to destroy your foundation, but to test it. He shakes the ground beneath your feet to show you what's real and what's fragile. The relationships that crumble, the opportunities that collapse, the plans that fall apart, they're not failures, they're revelations. God is showing you what cannot stand so that only what's meant to last will remain. Every great calling in Scripture began with disruption. Abraham was told to leave his homeland. Joseph was thrown into a pit before reaching the palace. Moses was exiled into the desert before leading his people to freedom. David was anointed as king, but spent years running from danger before he sat on the throne. Every divine assignment is preceded by divine interruption. So if your life feels unsettled, if things you depended on are shifting, don't panic. It's a sign that God is working. The process of transformation is rarely comfortable. When God starts to move, He pulls you out of familiar places. He dismantles your old systems of security so that you learn to depend on Him completely. You might lose control, but that's the point, because where your control ends, His control begins. The disruption is meant to disconnect you from self-reliance and connect you to divine trust. It's meant to humble you, to awaken you, to remind you that your strength alone can't sustain your destiny. So, if your world feels unstable right now, if everything you've known seems to be falling apart, take heart. The shaking is a sign of shifting. God only disrupts what He intends to rebuild stronger. He only allows the breaking because He knows what beauty will come from it. What you're going through is not a breakdown, it's a breakthrough in progress. One day, you'll look back and realize that the moments that felt most chaotic were the very moments God was constructing your greatest blessing. Divine disruption always precedes divine transformation. The storm comes before the calm, the breaking comes before the blessing. The pruning comes before the fruit. You are not being destroyed, you are being prepared. So stand firm, even when everything around you trembles. God is in the shaking, and when the dust settles, you'll see that He was not taking something from you. He was making room for something far greater. When you notice that your plans keep falling apart, it might just mean that heaven's plan is falling into place. You see, we often cling so tightly to our own blueprints for life. The career we thought we'd have, the relationships we thought would last, the timing we believed was perfect. But God's wisdom stretches beyond what we can see. When things begin to unravel, it's not because He's forgotten you. It's because He's rearranging your path to align with a higher purpose. The collapse of your plan doesn't mean failure, it means divine intervention. You thought you were in control, but God is gently taking the pen and rewriting the story into something far greater than you imagined. God doesn't always announce his moves. He rarely explains what he's doing in the moment because faith grows best in the dark. Sometimes he hides his purpose in confusion so that you'll learn to trust his heart, even when you can't trace his hand. The silence isn't rejection, it's instruction. He's teaching you to rely on his timing, not your own understanding. If he revealed everything too soon, you might run ahead of his process or try to fix what he's already preparing. So, when plans collapse, don't see it as chaos, see it as construction. Heaven is building something you can't yet comprehend. God allows confusion because it draws you closer to him. When everything is clear, you depend on yourself. But when the path is foggy, you reach for his hand. The more uncertain the situation becomes, the more you lean into his guidance. This is how intimacy with God is formed, in the places where you can't see the way forward, but you trust that he can. Every unanswered prayer, every closed door, every twist in the road has a purpose. Nothing in your life is wasted, not even the mistakes. God can take what was meant to harm you and turn it into the very tool that shapes your destiny. Sometimes what feels like rejection is actually divine redirection. You didn't lose that job because you were unworthy. You lost it because it wasn't aligned with your purpose. You didn't lose that relationship because you failed, you lost it because God knew you'd stop growing if you stayed there. He removes the wrong things to make space for the right ones. He shuts one door so you'll see the better one just ahead. Every no from heaven carries the seed of a greater yes, but the yes won't appear until you release what was never meant for you. And while you wait for that greater plan to unfold, don't mistake the stillness for inactivity. God is always working, even in the silence. He's rearranging hearts, orchestrating encounters, and aligning circumstances that you could never align yourself. When the right moment comes, it will happen so suddenly, so effortlessly, that you'll realize why nothing else worked before. His timing will make everything make sense. You might be asking, but why does he let things fall apart first? Because if he didn't, you would never let go. Sometimes God must allow your plans to collapse so he can rebuild your faith. He will let the things you built with your own strength crumble so that you can see that only what's built on his foundation will last. The breaking humbles you, the waiting strengthens you, and the rebuilding reveals his glory through you. So when life seems to be slipping out of your hands, lift them instead. Surrender the plan, release the control, and say, God, I trust you even here. Because the truth is, your broken plan is not the end of your story, it's the beginning of his. The path you thought was lost is simply being rerouted towards something far more beautiful. And when the pieces finally come together, you'll realize that every delay, every detour, every disappointment was heaven at work, turning your chaos into calling. What fell apart was never failure. It was the hand of God rearranging your life for your breakthrough. He doesn't always announce his moves. Sometimes he hides them in mystery. God's silence is not absence, it's strategy. When he withholds clarity, it's not because he wants to confuse you, but because he wants to build your faith. You see, if he explained every detail, there would be no room for trust, and trust is the foundation of every deep relationship with him. So, when he hides his work, when you can't see what he's doing, that's when he's doing the most. Behind the curtain of your confusion, heaven is at work, arranging the exact pieces that will come together in perfect timing. God hides his hand not to punish you, but to protect the beauty of his plan. Imagine a seed buried in the soil. It's covered, unseen, silent, but in that hidden place, life is forming. Roots are stretching down before anything breaks through the surface. The darkness isn't a tomb, it's a womb. That's exactly what happens when God hides his moves in your life. You may feel buried, forgotten, or overlooked, but you are simply being prepared in private for what he will reveal in public. You're not being hidden from purpose, you're being hidden for purpose. Sometimes he hides you because what he's doing in you can't be rushed. Preparation always happens in obscurity. You don't see the sunrise forming when the sky is still dark, but it's coming. God works in silence because transformation takes time. He's building strength, humility, and wisdom in the secret place, far away from applause, far away from distraction. You might feel like nothing is happening, but every unseen moment is shaping you for your divine assignment. God knows that quick blessings without preparation lead to quick collapses, so he hides his hand until your heart is ready to carry the weight of what he's planning to give you. There's a reason he doesn't reveal every step. If you saw the full picture too soon, you might be overwhelmed. You might doubt your ability to handle it or even walk away from it. God's hidden process is his mercy at work. He reveals in portions what we can handle in seasons. He'll give you a glimpse to keep your faith alive, but he'll conceal the rest so you'll keep depending on him. Each day's obedience reveals the next step's clarity. That's how he trains us to walk by faith, not by sight. When life feels uncertain and the answers don't come, you must learn to trust his silence. Silence doesn't mean he stopped speaking. It means he's already spoken, and now he's testing if you'll believe what he said. Faith isn't built when you have all the information, it's built when you only have the promise. The silence is the space where belief matures. That's where you learn to stop chasing explanations and start resting in expectation. Think about it. God hid Joseph in a prison before revealing him in a palace. He hid Moses in the desert before using him to deliver a nation. He hid David in fields with sheep before placing him on a throne. Every great destiny has a season of secrecy, where God works silently, shaping the vessel before showing it to the world. The hidden years are not wasted, they are sacred. So when it feels like heaven is quiet, when you can't see any signs of progress, don't lose heart. Just because you can't trace his hand doesn't mean you can't trust his heart. The God who hides his moves is the same God who fulfills his promises. He's not ignoring you. He's incubating something inside you. Stay faithful in the unseen season, because the day will come when what was hidden will be revealed, and it will all make sense. The silence will break, the mystery will unfold, and you'll realize that while you couldn't see what God was doing, he was preparing something so beautiful, so precise, that only the waiting could have made it possible. God hides his work not to keep you in the dark, but to show you in time that his light was guiding you all along.